Thanks for tuning in to the Medevac podcast, powered by the Robert Irvine Foundation, whose mission is to support and strengthen the physical and mental well-being of our nation's heroes and their families. I'm one of your hosts, David Reid.
And I'm your other host, Christian Meyers. Thank you very much for joining us today on the Medevac podcast. If you're new here, there's a price for the show. You have to share it with a friend or family member if you're getting something out of today's episode. We've got a pretty cool guest today.
Pretty cool.
Guarantee you're going to get something out of this one. He's got an amazing story.
Hope so.
From his childhood all the way until present day. So please welcome Codi Tanksley. He's a former... I always... Marine. Am I allowed to say former Marine?
You say former Marine. You can't say ex-Marine.
Used to be Marine.
Yeah.
Still a Marine, but... Former Marine.
Yeah.
Former works.
Years ago.
I've talked.
Sometimes I still wake up screaming at myself.
Yeah, that's called PTSD.
That's so funny.
They have bills for that.
Welcome to the show, Tank. Thanks for coming on. Well, that's a good start.
Yeah, I love it, man.
So let's kind of rewind it back and kind of learn who you are and how you became the modern day Tank.
Yeah.
So why the Marines? Why join the military service? Were you inspired by a young age, family in the military, pursuit of sacrifice and justice?
It's kind of I mean, to be honest with you, it's like a lot of little things that kind of led up to me. The first, starting out, I didn't have anything growing up. We grew up super poor.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was heavily abused when I was a child, so I really didn't have a childhood. So as I was getting older, I was always getting in fights, and I was trying to find an avenue that would keep me out of prison, basically. And my mom was in the Army when I was young, before I was born, but so she hated the idea of me joining the Marines. She wanted me to go in the Army. But I one day was walking through my high school, and I saw this Marine recruiter. His name was Gunny Martinez. And I remember counting his ribbons, and he had over 20 ribbons. And I was just like, oh, what do all of these mean? And he was shredded, bodybuilder guy.
Sure, yeah.
And I was intrigued. And I said, hey, man, I want to join the Marines. And he literally looked at me and said, I know who you are, and we don't want you. I look now, and I'm like, it's kind of like a ploy. I think he was baiting me.
Sure.
But he said, you're the dude that's always in trouble, and I know it. I've heard about you because I've asked about you, and we don't want people like you. And I was like, what the fuck? So I took it as bro, I did. I took it as a personal vendetta. It kind of pissed me off because my home life was so bad, and I didn't have anything. And I was always feeling like I was kind of left in the wind, and I wasn't cared about. So I just said, what's it going to take? And he said, you're going to walk to my office every day after school until I tell you can join. And when I remember that day, swear, dude.
Wow. That is awesome.
That
Good recruiter.
day, I left the high school and I walked to the Marine Corps recruiting office. And I'm just estimating it's about a mile.
Okay, sure.
So I get to the office, and he hands me a bottle of Windex and cleaning stuff. And he says, you're going to wash the windows every day, and you're going to vacuum the office, and you're going to clean everything. And I'm like, what the fuck? Dude, are you kidding me?
Making you bring this early.
Yeah, man. So I literally would go to the office, and I just did what I was told every day. And then they started PTing the shit out of me. And then 9/11 happened.
Okay.
And I remember going in the day after 9/11, and I was like, I want to join. And he said, okay.
How long were you doing the...
6 months.
Oh, shit.
Bro, it was a long time. But it was the most consistent I'd ever been in my life.
He's like, I'm just going to save this guy for when my recruitment numbers are down.
I swear to God, I think that's what he did. Because when I became a recruiter in the Marine Corps, I'm like, I'm saving you for probably 4 months, and I need you to be disciplined the whole time. I actually called him, dude, when I became so it's kind of funny. We'll go to this, but when I became a recruiter, I was going to DI school. And they pulled me and said, no, you're going to recruiter school. And I'm like, how the fuck does that happen? The chief instructor of all of recruiting was my recruiter.
Oh, no shit.
And so he's like, I saw you on their docket. You're coming to me. And I'm like, motherfucker, dude.
Vacuuming again, huh?
Yeah. And it turned out to be something amazing. But when I became a recruiter, I was kind of using the same tactics. But
you had 6 dudes washing the windows. You're like, yeah, they're just
all the time, all the fucking time.
Mini Marines.
But the thing was, man, is what I learned, he still stayed in touch with me.
Yeah.
Over all those years. And I still stay in touch. It's been 15, 16 years since I was on the streets. I still stay in touch. I literally talked to one of my guys yesterday who's a fucking master sergeant now.
Nice.
And I'm like, there was a reason for everything. And I felt like, it was a ploy, but you actually grow to love those guys.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, man, that's how I ended up joining the Marine Corps, and it just blossomed from there, man.
Yeah,
it all started with those guys, Raul Vasquez,
Gunny Martinez, just crushing it.
Gunny Martinez, yeah.
So this is happening right before 9/11. You're kind of misguided a little bit. You think of all. I mean, this is 2000. So
yeah.
in the military, they still had that stigma, like where the ruffians could join, and like if you're in trouble,
sure,
right,
yeah.
your option is military service. So you kind of felt a little misguided there, and this guy kind of challenged you to step up and see if you were trainable. To be honest,
yeah, because nobody had ever challenged me. There's only one person who ever really challenged me. His name was Tim Scott. He was a police officer in my town. When I was 12 years old, I was walking home from school. And he would see me walk home every day and it was like a 4 to 5 mile walk every day. My mom was in and out of my life, so she would sometimes leave my sister and I by ourselves for like a week at a time with no guidance. She'd go out of state.
Shit.
And so I just had to like learn from a young age how to survive. And I remember he pulls over one day and he says, "I see you walk home every day. I'm going to give you a ride home." And he said, "Where's your mom at?" And I was like, "I don't know." And that's when a whole whirlwind of things opened up. He literally, he gave me lunch money every day. He would come to my house while he was on patrol, and we would do my homework on the hood of his car.
Damn.
Bro, he was a real cop.
Yeah.
And he's still in my life today, man. He was the reason why I became a cop later in life.
Sure.
And he, completely changed my life. So he was the only person who really like came into my life when I needed structure or a father figure. And he challenged me. He told me he's gonna whoop my ass with a belt. Like he literally pushed me, and I didn't even know this guy. And then over the years, he just became kind of like my dad.
with a belt.
Yeah, man.
Beautiful.
He's amazing. Still a cop to this day.
That's awesome.
So you said a very interesting kind of triad of things that you kind of live your life by nowadays. Protect,
Provide, protect.
I want to keep that as a theme on this episode today. So once again, your 3 triad that you talk about.
Yeah. Provide, protect, lead.
So a lot of this is these role models that are happening in your life.
Yeah.
The Marines, the police officers. These people learn how to protect first, right? I think a core value of being a man.
Yeah.
Right. So what's a defining moment in your service as a Marine that kind of amplified this kind of tertiary system that you live by?
I'm sure you got a couple.
Bro, there's a lot, but I'm actually getting immediately emotional, which is kind of rare.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. Just dove right into that question.
Yeah. So I want to make it clear, like when I joined the Marine Corps, I joined, I had 2 options. I wanted to be a motor T guy or an 0311. Because I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather and I were driving down the road, and we saw Marines on the side of the road broken down. And they were like, "We're motor T guys." And they were they were super sharp.
Okay.
So when I joined the Marine Corps, I joined as a motor T Marine, but I ended up in 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines. And I was in the field with the 03s every single day. So my whole career was in basically 5th Marines or 211 at the end. But when we went on deployment to Ramadi, Iraq, the second time, I had done I did I would drive whoever it was, company commander or whoever, to whatever shitty situation it was. Even like at one point, my buddy Joel Height and I, our job was to go out into the middle of the road and dump some of the bodies that were killed and then like drive away. And so the tasks were always a little bit different, but it was every day you're driving down Route Michigan in Ramadi, which is the most dangerous place in the fucking world in 2004, 5, and 6 in my time frame.
Yeah.
And so there was a captain, his name was Captain Patrick Rapicolt. He was from France. And this dude was hard as fucking nails, man. And one of my buddies who was a comm guy, Lance Thompson, I didn't talk to Captain Rapp much, but when I did, he would call me Tank Machine. And sometimes Lance would be like, "What's up, Tank Machine?" And we'd like knuckle up and bullshit, and he'd tell me what was happening, when they're out on patrol or whatever was going on. And I had a lot of love and respect for Captain Rapp. He actually took over weapons company. I'd driven for him for once or twice. He had been through some shit, man. And Lance was fucking amazing. And one day I'm on the entry control point and I'm the COG, and I'm literally right in basically the circle of Ramadi. And we had Snake Pit, which was Echo Company, right next to us. So we could basically see them. Captain Rapp's convoy was coming to back to the firm base, and I could see them. And he was on the radio, and he said, let me through the gate, let me through the gate. So we send out a Marine to go move the 7-ton in the barriers so they can come through. And I'm on the ECP, and I just remember as the COG, I'm up top and everybody's down below. And I just remember looking out, and I see like dust coming down an alleyway. I never talk about this, dude. I remember seeing dust come down an alleyway. And I remember I tried to like yell over the radio because I knew it was a V-bid. And I just remember like there was no clear communication because I knew like what was about to happen. And I just hear, open the gate, it's a wrap, open the gate, whatever his call sign was. And then what I didn't know was that Thompson was in the Humvee with him, and there was a guy, Sergeant Ryan. I'd never met him before, and there was an interpreter. And I just remember like feeling concussed, and I remember the explosion, and I just remember this black mushroom cloud that was fucking huge, and it was just chaos. And what had happened was the V-bid drove into their Humvee, and they practically died. But one of my friends told me, because I was told, you need to go out, we got to recover the vehicle while we bring them in. And one of my buddies told me, I can't confirm nor deny, but he said that it looked as if Captain Rapp was leaning over trying to cut the Marine out of the driver's side. And I just thought about that, dude, because he always, when I saw that man, I always saw like, I felt protected. I felt like he took care of his Marines, and I felt like he led his Marines to fucking anything.
Yeah.
So it just kind of came like this thing for me, like provide, protect, lead. That's like who we are. And so Thompson was such a good dude. He always talked about his wife. He prayed all the time. He always had a smile on his face, and the fucking kid didn't care. He just like went. So I tattooed Tank Machine on my wrist, probably a few years after they passed. And it was just like a small reminder that I'm supposed to provide, protect, and lead. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I completely lost all that. I lost all of who I was. I lost my bearing. I lost like my little 3 pillars of things I'm supposed to live by. I lost my fucking mind because I didn't have structure. I felt like I didn't have people around me that understood me or that I could just lean on 24/7. You guys know, you've been out of the military, right? It's like we come out into this world and we don't have anymore what we had then.
Well, I think that there's a huge identity that's implemented when we join military, right? I mean, that's the basic premise of basic training, in boot camp, is to break down who you used to be and provide you and issue you a new identity.
Yeah.
When you abruptly stop service, like those who get injured and stuff like that, you have an identity crisis. But also those who just transition out of the military. And I think that it might be a little bit more challenging than those who are injured at times if you have a support system, because you don't have people that are guiding you and trying to reintegrate you. It's like, hey, here's your letter. It's like, I always compare it to Forrest Gump, when he's playing ping pong and he gets the letter and he's like, you're out of the military. And he just looks around and he runs away. There's no accountability anymore.
Yeah.
And when you lose that accountability and leadership, stop caring about you almost. You go through this identity crisis.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I feel like I've kind of gone through that identity crisis for probably over 10 years now. I feel like in some sense, I'm still searching for myself. Sure. I still feel like lost, and I know one day, as long as I just focus on my family and I try to do the right thing, then I'll be found.
Yeah. Do you think it's also because you feel like you're missing something in life?
Every day. Yeah. I feel like I'm missing something for sure.
I mean, when you believe in a cause so just intricately and so deeply, how do you replace that in this modern day society?
Yeah, something you're willing to die for every day.
Yeah.
And left and right. I mean, your Marines on your left and right, it really is what you live for at the end of the day. And then you don't have that anymore. And then it's like you're expected to get back into the routine of who you were before, or find something new. Good luck.
Yeah.
That's difficult for anyone.
It's definitely difficult. You feel like you lose completely every bit of your identity.
Yeah.
And you like lose your structure. You lose kind of like a path of life. I don't, the cloth was important to me. But I think the most important thing to me was knowing that there were men that relied on me to take care of them. And I did a great job at that. They trusted me. And there was like love in that too.
Yeah.
Even if you're a fucking piece of shit, I still had to love you. And we still had to like work through things.
Yeah.
And then you watch somebody blossom from like being in for like 2 months, and now they're in 4 years all of a sudden, and they're reaching out to you, and it's like, holy shit, man, this is great.
Yeah.
And then you come out here and it's like, oh, it's the real world. This fucking sucks. And then everybody with everything that's going on in the world right now, everybody's trying to fight to get to the top. And it's like, man, back then there was no other fucking option except just being in the moment.
And I think
otherwise,
and I think what we talk about too is I think our society, especially in America, really challenged that protect, provide, and lead for the modern day male. I mean, really, I think, and contradictory to popular belief is that the man was kind of put to the side, for the last few years, and I think it's coming back. You know what I mean?
Masculinity just in general.
Yeah, it was like we don't need men in our life, and that's the
fuck you don't.
The wrong. Well, we need women. I kind of a saying that I have is like, men rule the fucking world, but who rules men? Women. So inherently, they rule the world.
I told somebody this morning, bro. I literally told somebody this morning, I said, my buddy reached out to me. He's like, I got some problems going on. I'm like, look, I'm not a fucking marriage counselor, but I'll leave you with just a couple things. Your wife is smarter than you. And she reads through your bullshit, dude. And look, I'll just tell you right now, like, women control everything, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do. And Genghis Khan, man, they keep men in check.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe I shall go over this great wall and conquer. Hey, not today.
Dude, my wife has me by the fucking balls, and she doesn't even know it.
Yeah. Well, good. And men need that. Men need a structure because, it is, and as hippy-dippy as it sounds, the masculine and the feminine, really make this blend of what is successful. It's the yin and yang, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, but that has been challenged to protect, provide, and lead. So you get out of the military, and obviously you go through this identity crisis of losing protect right away, right? Yeah. So how do you reestablish that?
Yeah. Dude, so
what do you compensate? I guess the better question is, how do you compensate a loss?
I got on Vine. I got on Vine.
Vine.
Yeah, bro. I was really depressed one day.
Yeah, Vine.
And I was wearing my silkies at my buddy's ranch. And I was drunk as shit. And I was by myself in a world of like fucking hurt and hate because I was going through a divorce. My marriage life was going down the drain. And it was because some of it, I always say it's like 50-50. I'd say it was more on me because I was completely lost at that point.
Sure.
And I thought, why the fuck did I get out, dude? I will be a sergeant major in a matter of 5 or 6 years if I just keep going. And I got really drunk one day, dude, and I had started a Vine, and I had an Instagram with like 100 people on it. And I remember just drinking, and I was out like hunting rattlesnakes on my buddy's property that day.
Smart.
And it's like fucking 4 p.m. and I'm hammered. And I look over and this fucking donkey is staring at me and it's just going, and it won't shut the fuck up. So I remember like my buddy had a flag and I just grabbed it and I just pounding this drink, and I'm like looking over this donkey, and I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to this fucking donkey, dude. This is bullshit. He won't shut the fuck up, and I'm trying to chill. So I get over to this donkey, and I said, if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna hop on you and take you for a ride. And the donkey just looks at me and goes, again, dude. And I'm like, okay, fuck this. I hop the fence, I open the gate, and I start riding this donkey down the fucking road, dude. And I'm just in silkies, and I have liquor in my hand, and I've got an American flag. Well, what I didn't understand at this time was I got on I-20 in Fort Worth.
That's a freeway.
I'm on the fucking freeway.
Yeah.
And so cars are just like stopping, and they're filming me. And I'm just hammered, dude. And I'm like, just doing my thing. Well, some state troopers pull up and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, absolutely not. I'm fucking lit, dude. I'm pissed because I just got out of the Marine Corps and I'm fucking lost. And this donkey won't shut the fuck up. And they're kind of like just laughing. And people are filming, right? Next thing I know, somebody posted it and somebody tagged and they're like, oh, that's my buddy. What the fuck? This is his Instagram. This is his Vine. And overnight, that video went so viral that I woke up and I had like 27,000 new followers. And I was like, what the fuck?
Instant celebrity.
And so immediately it kind of like social media became like my avenue of out of everything that I was going through. And that's how my whole social media life
And what
started.
year was this?
2015, I think. 2014?
Yeah.
I think it was 2014 because I was so I got hired as a cop at a department here in Texas, and I was the class president. And then out of nowhere, BRCC reached out to me, and they were like, "We're starting this coffee company, you know, whatever. Can you meet us in Salt Lake City?" So I went to Salt Lake City and I met Logan at Ready Gunner, and we kind of hit it off. And my buddy Vaughn, who goes by the Man Spot on Instagram, we became really good friends. And so we just started like helping them hustle coffee and making videos. I ended up, because I had social media, I ended up basically getting like let go. I had an option. Like, you either resign or we're going to fire you from this police department because you have such a massive social media now. And so,
Interesting.
yeah, man. And I'd made it through. pretty much
Nowadays,
the
they would
academy.
hire you.
Yeah.
I know.
How weird is that?
Courage
I know.
to have a TikTok.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, we won't even fucking get into that. So,
Cop talk. Yeah.
So I said, hey, screw it, man. I just want to have fun online because I can be around veterans. I can be around dudes that, make me feel a
So you
certain way.
found that tribe. You sniffed
I feel
out
like
that
I
tribe.
found some of it.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was when I started to like make money and I started to get recognized and I started to get like external validation that was probably a negative thing for me. Now I see nowadays it was a negative thing for me. Back then I thought it was everything.
It's masking, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's you find your addiction, right? Your coping mechanism for it. If it's drugs, if it's alcohol, I mean, in this case, it's your social media. You stuff down your feelings for that external validation.
For sure, man. And that's exactly what was happening. And then I was compounding like alcohol and parties.
Yeah.
And so
Further avoidance measures.
what I was doing online is I was trying to just be the realest person that I could be. So I would catch myself crying on fucking line sometimes. I just didn't give a shit. It's because I was going through like this wave of emotion of still missing what I had, but then like not working on myself whatsoever and losing myself in that social media game just became a fucking nightmare. And then before you know it, within a matter of a couple of years, I remember I had a Snapchat and I had 2.1 million subscribers. And then I remember my Facebook under Tank Machine, I had over 1 million people. And then I think on Instagram, I had 300,000 or 400,000. And so at any time I could click a button and do something and I could have anything that I wanted.
Yeah, talk
so
to
I was
anybody.
always, man, I was always traveling. Something was going on. And what was ended up happening is in that process, I was like burning bridges. Didn't realize it then, but it wasn't until I got off years later that I realized I'm like, dude, I have fucked people over due to drinking a fucking bottle of whiskey a day and doing all this crazy shit. And I just wasn't owning up to my stuff. And my life just started the downward spiral. And I remember
So crazy to think that you have so many people that have eyes on you, but that circle is getting smaller and smaller around you.
it got way small. And I'm going to be real with you, man. In that time frame, I started to do things that I just didn't like. And a lot of people with the power that I had back then would have just continued to go.
Sure. Yeah. Feeding the ego monster.
Feeding the fucking ego monster. Some of them are still out there today. And I remember at one point, I think it was like right into 2018, I was all over the fucking place, man. I should have just like stuck with Black Rifle Coffee Company and just focused on the videos with Logan and Eli and Matt and everybody and Jared and doing our thing every day.
Yeah.
But I remember one day just quitting everything, and I remember telling them like I'm done. And the reason why I did that was because I knew that the company was on the up and up, right?
Sure.
I knew that I started to become like a little bit of a black eye. And I didn't want Evan and those guys to suffer from shit that I was doing. When in reality, I didn't even know half of the shit that I was doing because I was just drunk all the time trying to like figure out myself. And then there was like veterans talking shit about me, and there was just so much bullshit going on here and there. And I'm like, if it's true, I'll fucking tell you. I'm not afraid to own up to my shit, man. But like making up shit about me snorting coke off strippers' asses and all this that's a fucking lie. You know, like I'll tell you straight up what I do. Alcohol was my fucking drug, dude, and I let it ruin my life.
Yeah.
And so one day I just ended up deleting everything. I met a guy named Victor Marks. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. But in 2018, very beginning of 2018, I met a guy named Victor Marks who changed my life forever. He's an evangelist, and he goes overseas and he rescues children from ISIS. He was recently on the Sean Ryan show. And he asked me one day to meet him in Oklahoma City. And he texted me, and I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck this is. So I look him up, dude, and it come to find out he's got the Guinness Book of World Records of fastest gun withdrawal, and he's a preacher. And so I thought, how odd is this? I get this random text, and he says, I can fly you into Oklahoma City. And then I'm like, I'm in Oklahoma City right now. I'm traveling. That's weird. So I met him at a hotel, and he brings me in, and I'm like, this is kind of scary, dude, because he's fucking massive, and he has Belgian Malinois staring at me. And then there's like some fucking dude in the background that's just kind of like in the dark. And he's like, hey, what's up, man? And he's like, oh, that's my buddy. He's a Delta operator. And he's like, I just want to pray for you. That's the only reason I called you here.
Interesting.
Very odd.
Yeah, very odd, right? Very fucking odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I know God is real, dude. I believe in God. I'm not a Bible pusher. I don't push it down your throat, but I have personal stories where I know that I believe God exists. I have a struggle with my faith, but there's a couple instances in my life that I can tell you about that I'll tell you that God is real.
Sure.
So Victor said, I just want to pray for you. I need to guide you in the right direction because somebody sent me your social media, and I just need to tell you that what you're doing is there's something great for you in the future, and the only way to get there is by doing what I'm about to tell you. This man grabs me and just starts praying for me. And then this guy out of nowhere, who's just fucking buff as shit, looks like a Delta operator too, he comes over there and just prays for me. And out of nowhere, dude, I started shaking. And I remember I felt like this release. And I thought, is this fucking dog gonna bite me? I don't know what's happening. And when I left that hotel, Victor tells me, he said, God is telling me to tell you to delete all of your social media. Cold turkey, get rid of it, because this is going to kill you. And when I drove away, I thought, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was weird.
And I remember for the very first time, dude, I'm holding my steering wheel, and I said, okay, God, if you're real, I need you in my fucking passenger seat right now because I'm about to blow my brains out. And I was so depressed, and I had so much shit going on because I didn't know what to do.
Sure.
Out of nowhere, dude, I said, put somebody in my life that's going to change my life forever, help me, like make better decisions. I found my wife on Instagram. I went and scrolled, and I'm like, holy shit, she's beautiful. And then I go, oh my God, she's following me. And I looked at her story, and the first thing that I saw was a story of her and her mom. And it said, it's my mom's 4-year anniversary of her brain tumor we're celebrating today. And I just wrote, congrats to your mom. I see where you get your looks from. She wrote back, you're funny, love watching your stuff. And then we just began talking. And then I exchanged numbers with her. We started to talk, met her in Atlanta, Georgia. We went on a 1-week road trip, And we've been together ever since. Never met each other before. So on that 1 week road trip, I deleted all my social media and never looked back.
Nice.
So what ended up happening is my wife came into my life. Structure. I became a cop again. Don't know how the fuck I got hired, but there was a sheriff that trusted me, and I did great for 3 years. Everything was incredible. I quit being a cop because I went through just too much shit. Nights was killing me. I was having anxiety again, and it sucked.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Florida with my wife, where she's from. I worked for a gun company for a little while, and I've never looked back. And so in that process, what Victor did for me, I think he was kind of like an avenue for he was like a vessel.
Sure. Yeah. For change, right?
A release Christian, right?
Yeah.
And I changed. And everybody called me stupid. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And blah, blah, blah. And here's the thing, bro.
Nobody asked, huh?
It was like getting off of heroin. I've never done heroin, but I've seen people who are addicted to heroin, and they shake and they go through shit for 3 months. I thought I have no more identity. I gave it all up. I can't just click a button and have everything that I want. And I shook in bed and I was sick. I lost so much weight. It was bad. But then when it was kind of all evening out and I was looking at my future and I thought, dude, I can actually build a future for myself without all this fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And we get online right now and everybody all day just scrolls.
Yes.
And that phone and that app becomes your identity.
Yeah.
And then it's who the fuck are you really?
And it's not real.
No, it's not. You're
all
not
fake.
the person. I see people all the time, brother. I see people all the time on social media that I've watched for years. And I'm like, that is not you.
Yeah.
You have literally bought into this fucking process and you're a fake motherfucker because of it.
Yeah.
And being honest and raw and real is not popular anymore.
No, it's not.
You're not the popular person
True.
anymore.
I have this conversation all the time, is that, one of the things that I really loved and appreciated about the military was how raw and real it was. If you're fucked up, someone's going to tell you, hey, you're jacked up here. If you go into the civilian world, it's all daisies and rainbows and unicorns. And really they're holding on to that animosity, and it's building and building, and you don't get any honesty anymore. And social media is an exact correlation. There's a correlation to that.
There 100% is.
There's a correlation to that. There is no honesty in social media, because behind the scenes, you could see, hey, this guy's fun. Look, he's all about America. He's riding this donkey. That's hilarious. This is awesome. This guy's great. And then you're just fucking hurting and struggling so much inside and feel alone, even though you have so many people out there watching you.
I always wanted to help people, and I helped people. But some of the videos that I was making was when I was in a shitty part of my head.
Yeah.
And I would just drink. And so I would just get drunk and I'd make a video. And it was, some of them I look back and I'm like, whoa.
We talked about this, we've talked about this in the past, sometimes you didn't even remember the videos that you created, right?
Yeah, some of them I didn't. I'd wake up the next day and I'd be like, my phone, it would have, I remember one video I did had 30,000 comments. And I woke up and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And I see it and I'm like, oh my God. What the hell was I doing last night?
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel good for anyone who blacks out.
Bro, so what I started to do was, I'm like, well, I can't delete it now because I know there's been 5,000 screen recordings of this, so I might as well leave it up and just look at the messages. And you had people that are like, this is hilarious, dude. I love you. You're so raw and honest. And then you have people that are like, whoa, you're a piece of shit. And I'm like, okay.
So there's hot and cold going on.
Yeah, bro, it was hot and cold. And then, so what I would do to cover up those feelings of waking up and going, I would immediately start drinking.
Do the same thing.
And so by 9 o'clock at night, I'd be like, fuck it.
Yeah,
let's
same
go.
thing again.
Dude, I remember one time I just grabbed some lipstick. I put on a fucking purple wig. I went into a Walmart and I set my phone up and I'm like, I'm looking for fucking tampons on aisle 3. And I'm caking lipstick on my lips. Here's what I knew about the internet at the time. If you're doing things that other people are afraid to do and you're just fucking willing to do it, everybody is going to know who you are.
Sure.
Yeah. And what I wanted, Conor McGregor said it. He's like, I'm going to lose my mind to make it for my family. At that point, I thought, if I lose my fucking mind and do the things that I'm dreaming about and just weird shit, who the fuck in their right mind, for one, puts on a wig and lipstick as a man, right? But it was just funny at the time.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I did it. And I knew that nobody else is going to be doing that shit. So as I did it, bro, the numbers, it would just bam, bam, hit, money coming in, people reaching out to me, fucking famous people. My inboxes were blowing up. And I'm just like, I don't care. So I'd start drinking again. The drinking was where that's where like everything went south.
Sure.
If I would have just stuck to a routine of just making funny videos and doing my thing without drinking, I'd have made a lot better decisions.
Yeah.
But what I realized over time, I started to become fake. I started to become somebody that I didn't like seeing in the mirror. And I realized like I'm becoming like other people that I absolutely fucking can't stand. And that's not who I want to be.
Yeah.
And I had a child that would watch my shit and my ex-wife and everybody else, and it was being used against me. And so when I disappeared, man, I went on this thing for myself. Like, I fucking owe you the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
So I just like honed in, man. I went back to like the original provide, protect, lead. When I met my wife, she changed every bit of my life. Now we have another child. It's amazing. I love being a daddy. I don't give a flying fuck about the internet. I have a small page and it's all my wife and kids. If you get on there, it's just all my wife and kids. No more crazy stuff. Now, let me get you, I'll tell you right now. Do I have moments where I want to get wild and do crazy shit?
Sure.
100%, man. But I just look at it like that's what everybody's trying to do. I don't want to be like everybody.
And you know, I think that there's a lot of addicts out there that says this heroin looks really good. I would like to do that too. So taking, I think once an addict, always an addict, really, and taking the power away from it every time. You know?
It's got to be hard to do.
I never thought about that really until you said that. Once an addict, always an addict. I think it's very true.
Yeah.
Because just the hit of like doing a crazy video would be so much fun to me right now.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I have so many ideas and I have videos that I filmed that I've never released.
Yeah.
That I know would crush. But
And the
I'm like,
response that you get from it, whether it's positive or negative, I mean, it
Yeah.
feeds right back into it, right? Even the negative comments are
Yeah.
going to feed you in the right direction. Oh,
Very true.
Well, I need to prove them wrong now.
very true, man. Very true. Yeah.
Once an addict, always an addict. Yeah. So it's especially when you like it. You know what I mean? Like, who doesn't like attention?
Yeah.
You know, who doesn't like partying it up and getting out of their bubble and becoming an extrovert? You know, that's great, right? Taking the power away from it, though, chipping every moment you say, I'm not going to make this video, I'm going to post a picture of my family. You're just stripping that power away every
For
time.
sure. I feel like, at times I just bought some Meta glasses. I thought I can do some funny shit again.
Sure.
Just not in the realm of, like this morning, bro. Let
Yeah.
me tell you something. I have a wedding ring, a black one that's sitting in my drawer, and I pulled it out and I go, babe, there's my ring. And she goes, oh, it looks like my ex's cock ring. And it's literally like that big, like size of a dime. And I busted out laughing. I was like, that's a fucking hilarious video. Like,
Yeah.
oh, there's my ex's cock ring. You know, like just in like Meta glasses and doing like a day in the life of. And I'm just doing all my shit. And then out of nowhere, I plugged that. Just, it's a little jab, but it's super funny.
Yeah.
But I'm like, shit like that is okay, man, but not the crazy stuff I was doing.
It
in the
is
past.
okay. And I think, I mean, we talk about like Black Rifle Coffee all the time too. It's like these guys did so well and they created such an awesome community with videos, right? It wasn't even about the product. It was about the lifestyle. Hey, the tribe, the community.
It was really, yeah.
And there's a way to do that in a healthier way, right?
Sure.
I mean, if that is your passion, if that's something that you love to do, and it, we've talked before this show too, is that's something that you currently do, right? You just do it a lot more behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm behind the camera now. I've been doing this shit for years. Eli Cuevas, plugging him. He's kind of the one who really got me intrigued with that. And I've just, ever since, for the last 10 years, camera, edit, DaVinci,
Nice.
But I do it for other people and my friends,
Yeah.
weddings, whatever, when I got time. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's the right way to do it. But yeah, man, I mean,
Doesn't have the same impact as the donkey though, huh?
does not at all.
Not the same feeling.
Bro, I would fucking love to recreate that one day, but I'm just like, dang, dude.
Yeah, do
What a
it.
time to be alive, man.
What a time. Yeah. What a time to be
Early
alive.
days of the internet.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. I think the internet helped me in a way. It made me realize a couple things. The veteran community is pretty harsh on each other, for one.
Yeah.
We are our own worst critics, and we fuck each other all the time. Some of us to get ahead of others and whatever. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
But I've also met some incredible veterans that are still my friends today.
Yeah.
And then I also realized in that time frame that, like we talked about earlier, the internet is fake, and it will bring out the worst in you.
Yeah.
And I just don't want nothing to do with that. Yeah.
What do you think about? Sorry, Christian, go ahead.
That's right. I was going to say, it reminds me of that song, Dance Monkey. You know that song?
No.
Did you hear that?
No.
It was real popular a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's about this busker chick. And
Can you give us like a
Yeah, sing it for us.
Dance monkey? Yeah, that's all she says.
Just,
yeah.
what's the line?
Yeah, dance monkey, dance for me.
No, I have not heard it. But I'm going to listen now.
It got like
I have heard it.
Yeah, billions of streams.
I want you to sing it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song. I can't sing for shit, so I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
Everyone else, a lot of people know this song, but the idea is, so she's a busker, right? So she performs music on the side of the street, and the idea is people are saying "dance monkey," like, "Oh, play the song again, play the song again, play the song again," but nobody's asking her how she's doing. Is kind of the thing. Like nobody sees me for who I am. They're just here to throw the dollar at me and tell me to dance.
Dance monkey, dance.
And like with you talking about the internet. Like, and you know, the fame that you had and falling away from that, and nobody even just asking you like, "Oh, how's Tank doing today?" Instead of telling you like, "Oh, you're fucking stupid for deleting all this stuff and getting out of this. Like, what a mistake you're making." But nobody's asking you along the way. Like,
there was one person that
How
asked
are you
me along
doing?
the way, literally one that really kind of like got in the weeds with me.
yeah,
Neil Curry. You guys know Neil. He owned Ready Gunner, and
oh yes, yeah,
Neil was a good man. Dude.
Yeah.
He was a good man.
He
I
passed-
cried in his basement one day.
Yeah.
he passed a couple years ago.
Yeah. I cried in his basement one day. He was letting me stay with him, he and Casey at the time. And I just like broke down. And I think I was on like live feed or something. I was going through some shit. And Neil came down. I remember like stole my phone on the floor, and he sat in front of me. And he said, "My house is your house, and anything that you need, I'll always be here for you." And he's like, "We go through like really deep stuff, and even I go through things that I don't tell anybody about." And he said, "You were just way more vocal about it." And I don't know, man. I did a podcast recently, and one of my buddies told me, he said, "Yeah, man, I knew Neil really well too." And we were talking about him, and he said, "Yeah, Neil was upset with you because he said that you kind of like burned him a little bit." And I don't ever remember that, but it really hurt hearing that, because if I did, I would have corrected it and made it right. And I look back at some of those times and I'm like, damn, maybe I was doing more things than I had realized I was doing. And it fucking hurts because I can't apologize to my friend now.
Yeah.
And when I was a cop, Neil would reach out to me sometimes to say, "Hey man, you're doing great. I'm proud of you." And he quoted me something that I'll never forget. And it's like one of the things that I think about all the time. And I tell people this all the time. Persistence will get you there. Consistency will keep it. And he told me straight up, he's like, "Tank, just remember that. Like, live by that." And ever since then, man, it's just kind of been my thing. Even on my days that I struggle, I thought, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going.
It's good insight.
Yeah, man, Neil was a good man. And he, in my times, would reach out to me. And when I was gone off the internet, and he would check on me sometime. And JT at BRCC did as well. He would call me randomly and be like, "Hey, let's go get a burger." And I'm like, "Where the fuck are you at?" You know? He's like, "Oh, I'm in town." And I'm like, "Bro, you give me no heads
to do
up."
that, man.
Yeah, like, you give me no fucking heads up, but I'll be there.
Out of nowhere, like I get a call from Jared, and and I'm in Florida, like doing an event out there, and he's like, "Hey man, you want to box?" Never asked me about boxing in my entire life before that. And he's like, yeah, come over and box. And I'm like, I'm not in Florida, man, but I'll come next week.
FaceTimes you at 3 a.m. Yeah. What are you doing right now?
I love him to death.
I love that about him, because I think he and I think a lot alike. When we used to talk about videos and stuff, I think the goal, it was like we were on drugs or LSD and we didn't even do drugs. That's how like Jared thinks when it comes to like video work or ideas.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, only a fucking drug addict thinks like this. And it's like, no, that's just, we would both come up with weird shit and it would just hit. And I think that's just what has made him who he is, and why he just spontaneously will just call people or whatever. I got this idea, and it's like, okay.
Well, and it really is like, from a perspective of when we all need to be a little bit more like that. When it pops in your head, like I've been trying to be more like that too, is if someone pops in my head, I'm like, I always like, I need to text this person. I'll do it tomorrow when it's a good time. And I never do.
Yeah.
So when I get to this point now, I'm like, when it pops in my head, I'm just like, I'm going to tell him, "Hey, thinking about you. Let's talk. Let's catch up soon."
Yeah.
And my personal relationships seemed a little bit stronger from that.
For sure.
Just being able to pull it out of your head. And he does really well at that. Yeah. I'm thinking about it. I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful, beautiful perspective. Now, social media, it's an interesting subject. I want to talk about like, where do you think the future is going? Because I mean, we have a crisis. We have an anxiety crisis in this country specifically. And I think that it comes from these cell phones, where we are so plugged in, but we're so isolated more than we've ever been before.
Dude, I couldn't agree with you more. And I don't think that's changing.
Yeah.
It's going to only get worse.
It's only getting worse.
It's going to get worse.
And I think where the buck stops is at the house. Like fathers and mothers being strong parents and creating like a line that you don't cross and an understanding that is not broken.
Yeah.
There's also, I think there needs to be, and this is about control, and I think a lot of parents would disagree with this, but most of your social skills are locked in by the age of 19. Locked in. Never going to change the rest of your life, mostly. Small tweaks here and there. But having a limit to this social media too is, hey, like we got it. We're from a generation where you didn't have, 2007 was the invention of the smartphone, right? So prior to that, you're fucking outside. You're playing, you're breaking limbs. Nowadays, everybody's got weak bones.
You don't see kids playing anymore in groups.
You don't see kids with casts ever.
No.
Yeah.
You remember elementary, middle school?
Oh, yeah. Everybody.
Half the kids had it.
Yeah.
And it was a badge.
Everyone had a cast.
I didn't think about that. That's very true.
It was a
Yeah.
badge of honor.
Yeah.
You had a fucking cast, you get it signed. Like, here you go. Like, this is cool. Someone writes something personal on it that's like bad. You're like, what the heck, dude?
My
That's
mom
permanent
didn't see
mark.
that.
So yeah, that's changing. And having a limit on that, I think, is important too. Is I have a 30-minute a day social media limit on my phone. My phone allows your iPhone allows you to put, a time limit on your apps. And Instagram specifically, I have 30 minutes a day. Like my LinkedIn, I could go in, I could connect, like all this stuff, right? I need to stay connected, but it keeps me from doom scrolling. And sometimes I notice that, right? I mean, everybody's been on the toilet too long, scrolling for days.
I'm going to say, if you're doom scrolling LinkedIn, you got extra problems.
Yeah, you're not doing that. Yeah.
Let's flip the cameras around to you. Are you
Not
okay?
doom scrolling LinkedIn.
I'm going to judge you
like
for
I
that
said, no. Like I said, Instagram. You're doom scrolling Instagram. So I got a limit on that, and it's important because it does change your mindset. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
100% it does.
And kids don't know any better, right?
Yeah.
It's dopamine addiction at that point.
Talking to my friend about this yesterday, he was like, I think I need to take a social media break for a little while. He's like, I think I'm just going to log out during work hours. I was like, no, just log out for 30 days. Don't delete the app off your phone. Log out, because you'll instinctively go from your text message or email app and you'll just randomly open it up. Instinctively
That's very
open it
true.
up.
I catch myself sometimes doing the same
600
thing.
times a day.
He kept a counter yesterday. He sent me a screenshot last night, 12 times throughout the day, went to instinctively open the app. 12 times. And how many times are you going to spend 10, 12,
for sure.
20 minutes on there?
Yeah.
Times 12? Okay, so now you're 2.5, 3
Damn,
hours.
imagine what you can accomplish if you just get rid of that.
Yeah.
And so
it's just instinctive. That's not even intending to do it.
one of the things that I did too before I had the limit, because actually Christian and I did the 30-day challenge. We did 30 days. Yeah. He started it, and I was like, I'm gonna do this too. But before I did that, I disabled the searchability of my Instagram and put it in a separate folder. So when you unlock your phone, how often do you just click an app to open?
Yeah, for sure.
And I had to do 2 extra steps to get to that app.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to that app, I'd be like, holy fuck, I am going to this app instinctually.
Programmed.
It's programmed. And you have to deprogram yourself.
Yeah.
And who wants to do that?
And it takes, if you do that 30 days, just leave just the login screen, because when you see that login screen, it's like a punch to the face.
Yeah.
If you do 30 days, day 5, you're still going to be instinctively opening it. Shit, day 5 for a lot of people.
And it takes 2 weeks to form a habit.
Yeah.
It takes 2 weeks to form a habit.
I saw a meme. It was in 2018, right when I was deleting my social media. And it said, take 6 months away from everybody and everything, and you'll find the best version of yourself. It's very true, man. I deleted all of my social media, had nothing out for 3.5 years. I disappeared. A lot of people thought I killed myself. And no, I'm telling you, in that time frame, bro, I met my wife. I got in the best shape of my life. Every morning I was training. I was running hills, doing CrossFit. I started jujitsu heavy, 6 days a week. I was going through it.
Yeah.
And I did it for 3.5 years. And then where I fucked up, when I became a cop, I was doing some basketball stuff with kids, and I was doing some sprints in uniform. And they're like, chase us, see if you would catch me in real life. And I'm like, I'm fast, boy. And somebody filmed it, and I just created a little personal Instagram. I posted that clip, And within 4 months, I had 357,000 followers. That was in 2021. And I was like, holy shit. I go on a traffic stop one night and this guy's shaking. And I'm like, hey man, are you okay? Like, are you on anything? Have you been drinking tonight? Are you on any type of drugs? Or do you take pills? Maybe, are you sick? And he reaches down and I go, absolutely not. I'm like, you are not going to pull anything out of your seat. And I'm like, send me another unit now, right? And he's like, no, I don't have a gun. And I'm like, well, why are you reaching when I told you to keep your hands on the steering wheel? It's like 2 a.m. And he goes, you're my hero, man. He's like, I know you're Tank. And I go, oh my fucking God.
Oh, jeez.
I go, bro. I was like, dude, you just scared the shit out of me. And he's like, dude, I've always watched you. You used to be hilarious, but I love the new version of you. And I'm like, okay, well, I appreciate that. And he said, can I take a picture with you? And he goes to get out. And I go, no, you can't. We're on the highway, dude. We cannot take a photo. I was like, look, I'm just cutting you a warning tonight because he was driving without headlights at 2 a.m. So it's indicative of like DWI or DUI. And anyway, he's like, dude, I love you. He ended up writing me on social media and was like, I can't believe I got pulled over by you. My fucking wife is losing it. She's always been a fan. And I'm like, what the heck is this world, dude?
What is
I'm literally just a dude on the internet that's putting videos of me like as a cop with kids and having fun and like community service and whatever else.
Yeah.
And dude, I don't know, man. One day I remember my wife telling me that she felt disconnected from me. And it was only 4 months. And I caught myself like all day, every day doing social media again. So I deleted it all. Cold turkey again. And everybody again, man, like nowadays, nobody can fucking do that.
And how was the relationship with your wife after that?
Bro, we have an amazing relationship.
So it was specifically that.
It was specifically that. I was putting too much time and effort. My wife said, look, I know it's going to be a part of your life forever because it kind of became like an identity, but you have to disconnect.
Yeah.
And my wife is the smartest person I know. And so, you know, I'm just like, okay, she's right. Fucking women control the world. Like, you know, we said that. Like, she's right. She's a lot smarter than I am. So she sees like triggers or little things that I go through, and I'll end up like on social media. And usually when I'm at being my worst is when I'm watching stupid shit on social media. Or I see a video that pisses me the fuck off, and I'm like, what is this OnlyFans? All I'm seeing is titties and ass and so on and so forth. And I'm like, bro, this is not real life anymore.
It's not. And yeah, it's a wacky one. And when you do disconnect, like this podcast, to be honest, we film this thing. We send it to our producer. He puts it up. I don't watch it. You know, I don't watch any of the, because I'm here. I'm having the conversation with you. Like, why do I need to watch it? Why do I need to, you know, and maybe engagement could be better, right? If we do that. But at the end of the day, you know, we're here for the conversation.
For sure.
You know, and
I think you learn a lot about yourself in podcasts in some ways because you might connect to one person and that podcast is real.
I say advice all the time that I'm like, I should probably listen to that.
For sure.
Well, also, how often do you get to have conversations one-on-one, undistracted?
Oh,
for
yeah.
an hour,
Unscripted.
hour and a half. Like,
Unscripted. There
never
is
get
no
to do this in real life.
There's
anymore.
no rules.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have a script that we give you. You said, what do we do? We're just going to go with it.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
and I will say that, you know, having this conversation at this point, we have over 170 episodes, you know, over 170 guests. And like those communication skills, they're a lot. Like who has conversations for an hour anymore?
Sure.
Or 2 hours, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very few.
Very few.
Because a lot of things are, again, like scripted. Like, you know, you're watching like the Ellen Show or some shit. Scripted.
Laugh
they
tracks.
know what they're going to be talking about prior. It's like, man, I want to know like what's in your heart and really like what's going on. And I want to know the face value of what's happening in your life because in reality, somebody might watch this podcast and they might be in the same position that I was years ago and go, okay, I need to come to reality.
Yeah.
Because bro, like my whole life has been fucked up, but I have a choice, like either be a good human being and like, don't let those things control me and like move forward or just be a piece of shit and go to prison, you know?
Well, you chose to continue being inspirational for the right reasons, right?
I try to be, and sometimes I struggle. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. You know, I've gone from making dumb decisions to great decisions and make a dumb decision great. We all do it. But I think like, dude, we're all forgiven and it's a part of life. You know, we have to learn how to move on.
And you know, one of the things I learned too is that all of a sudden you're gone. Like all of a sudden you disappear. When I was injured, like that could have been it. And I disappear, I fade from view. Same thing when you unplugged from Instagram. Like what happened to the world when you were gone?
Bro, nobody except a couple people.
A ripple. And the best, at best, you got a response from people that said, "Oh, bro, I thought you were dead. Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
That's the response.
I've heard that before.
Thank
I thought
God.
you killed yourself. And I'm like,
Thanks.
Thank God you cut those guys out of your life.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And I
Because
had
that is so toxic, man.
dude, I had celebrity friends that are like in movies and stuff. I'll leave them unnamed because I don't want to throw them under the fucking bus, but they were like, hell yeah, come out to my ranch and let's do this. And then when I disappeared, crickets.
Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind.
Crickets. They stopped reaching out to me. And then I realized, I'm like, dude, Neil, for example, prime example, right? Neil was very well known. Who the fuck talks about Neil now?
Yeah.
Neil was very well known. Who brings up Neil and just sends him a message? I message Neil's Instagram maybe once every 4 to 5 months. Just I love you and I'm thinking about you because I can never communicate with him again.
Yeah.
It's the only way. I don't know if like his wife still has access or whatever, but I just try to put a little snippet of what I got going on in my life into his inbox because Neil meant something to me.
Yeah.
But in a matter of a moment, if I were to leave here right now and kill myself in 2 to 3 years, it's not happening, by the way, but in 2 to 3 years, who the fuck is going to be talking about me, my wife and my kids? My family, they're going to miss me.
Yeah, the people
I
that
don't,
matter.
and no disrespect to you guys, but you're not going to sit there every day because you got to move on with life and go, damn, I miss Tank, and you're crying your eyes out. And that episode was great, man. What the hell did you do that for? You might do that 1 time or 2 times, and then that's it because you have a life to move on. And everybody else has to realize, like, once something happens in this world, once something happens to you, you take your life or you die, I have to keep going.
Yeah.
I have to focus on the positive things and keep moving. And
in the end, we're all just splashes and ripples in the pond, my friend. I mean, it
came from the dust and we're going from the dust, man.
Yeah, it is. We might make a huge splash, but at the end of the day, that pond and that surface water will eventually reach equilibrium again.
Smooth back out.
And it is one of the bittersweet moments of what life is and what makes it really important, for us to experience this life. But yeah, we're all just fleeting thoughts. And I mean, you've had this conversation, with your wife too, where you're like, I need you to get how I'm feeling right now. And she might, but she never will. Right. Because that's all internal at the end of the day.
For sure, man.
It's a really deep and introspective thought at the end of the day to realize that.
It absolutely is. And I think, I have realized over time that really the only thing that does matter is my wife and my kids. If I put my time and effort into them, they're the ones who are going to really be missing me when I'm gone. So why am I not like giving all my time and effort to them? Because the people on the internet, I've met some really good people that are now my closest pals.
Yeah.
And I have a really small circle, but I know if I reach out to these dudes that they'll be there.
Yeah.
A couple guys I met in Memphis, Tennessee, making a video with Logan Stark. They contact me every day, literally every day. And I'm like, at this point, I can trust you with my wife and my life.
Yeah.
And they've never faltered from that. And they don't have anything, and I don't have much to give anymore. But it's like, I'll give you my time, my effort. You need me to be there to help you move. I'm going to fucking be there. And I know that they'll be there too. So I try to focus my time and effort on like being in shape, mentally, physically, and emotionally so I can be here for years.
Yeah.
And then making good decisions that allow me to build for my family and then my wife and my kids, man. Like that's it.
You're investing in the areas that count.
I am, dude. And another thing I need to say is I do watch people and I see like I try to find snippets of inspiration from people. For example, you guys. Like when we talked originally, I haven't seen you in years.
Yeah, quite a few.
And you were I literally talked about this after I saw you. I told my wife when I went home, I was like, I ran into my old buddy Christian and I thought he hated me. And she's like, well, how'd it go? And I said, he embraced me with class and it made me feel a certain way. I felt kind of empowered by that because who I used to be is not who I am now. And then you told me, yeah, we, have Terra Arma and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so I look it up and I'm like, holy shit. Why the fuck can't I do this? I mean, I don't want to get into that company type stuff, but I want to like maybe own a little trailer with a coffee shop, you know, and whatever. Like, why am I not doing those things anymore like I used to do? So I try to find inspiration in people who are classy and that treat you with respect and that are chasing something. I never attach to people that are not doing shit with their life.
Yeah.
Like, you can't bring anything to me, then you're just going to drag me down.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we have to take care of our immediate family, and we have to be there for people who are like trying to chase their dreams and goals, because ultimately it's inspiration for you to do the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah, and to be honest, it works both ways. You know, is just telling a story or talking openly. I mean, it helps. Even conversations like this, it helps at the end of the day, right? Because you're being real. For sure. Having conversations.
I think, you know, when I was talking to David Valbora on a podcast I did, I had never talked about my childhood with anybody. And I have a lot of people in the military are fucked up. Sure. Like in the Marine Corps, man, I look at like 99% of guys and girls, and I'm like, yo, you got daddy issues. You must have went through some shit, you know, and blah, blah, blah. We all have like a crazy story. And I think that sometimes like some of the most successful people have the most fucked up past.
That we always say that what makes a good special operations warfighter? Childhood trauma.
Childhood trauma.
Bro. Childhood trauma, because and it is. I'm a victim as well of that, and I think that that's the reason, right? And you look at it from a psychoanalytical perspective, and you break it down is attention-seeking behavior, seeking approval. I'm going to seek approval, so I'm going to find somebody in my life who says that's a boy. And when I give you a fucking tribe that you get to plug yourself into and say, hey, atta boy, and if you don't speak our language, you're out. My God, you're going to embrace that. You're going to prove yourself to the ends of the earth for that team. And that's what creates a true believer.
Yeah, man. I had the most fucked up childhood, and I almost became a murderer when I was 16. I almost murdered somebody. I was literally like this close. I almost shot a guy in the head when I was 16.
Yeah.
The guy that abused me when I was a child. And that was like my life-changing thing. When I talked about earlier, when I met God, I've met him like twice in my life. That was the very first time, was that day. And we can talk about that if you want. But some of the most fucked up people become the best people. Some of the most incredible Marines that I've ever met had told me like, yeah, man, I have the worst childhood. Yeah, this and that. And I've met a couple, I never worked with female Marines, but I met a couple that were like, oh yeah, I got daddy issues like a motherfucker. And she's out there running an 1801 3-mile and she's got the tightest bun and the best camis, her boots are the shit. Yeah. She's in the fucking field with the guys like, I haven't showered in a week. And I'm like, that's a little butch, dude. That's a little crazy. Stay away from me. You probably smell like a motherfucker. But like, I met a female, dude. She was my lieutenant and she was incredible. Yeah. And it was the first time I'd ever worked with a female. It's when they were like allowing women in the infantry battalions back then, like as like a snippet of time, like a test run, like 10, 12, 13 years ago or whatever.
Sure.
And she told me a little bit of her story and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I wonder, you know, I'm like,
adversity instills resilience, man, at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And it creates those hard moments. And we talked about this yesterday, actually, is, I was a little personal story about me, you know, when I'm sitting, I'm always trying to introspect and challenge myself to be a little bit better. And I was having this thought where could you imagine if I had the thought process I do now and plugged it back into when I was laying in Afghanistan with my legs half off, and I thought, hey, if I get through this, I'm going to come out stronger. Can you imagine if I had that thought process? If we just embrace nowadays the adversity that we're being challenged with, it's either going to kill you or it's going to make you better. Mm-hmm. Like we would all be better people from that. For sure. Yeah. And instead of saying, oh, this sucks, I'm not going to do it and give up. Well, guess what you did? You gave up and now you're not going to be a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
You're just missing out.
Yeah. So adversity definitely instills resilience.
There's so many men that have experienced like way worse than I have. You know, I don't know what it's like to have my leg blown off. And I know what it's like to have a concussion from, a pressure plate and shit like that, but I didn't get a Purple Heart.
And that's comparison, okay. Though. That's also comparison.
Yeah, it is comparison, but also it's like, the way that I experience life. Like some people might look at me and go, "Fuck, I'd rather lose 2 legs than experience what you experienced then," you know. And it's like,
well, the if game,
we
man.
tend to, I think, like sometimes we compare ourselves to other people so much that we like devalue ourselves in a way.
Absolutely.
That's exactly it. When I was in the hospital, people would come up to me and say, "Hey, it could be worse." And then, I'd have a 2-person, 2-limbed guy come up to me and be like, "Hey, what's up with that flesh wound?" And I'd be like, "You know what? At least I have both, 1 leg." And you devalue yourself so much. You take credibility about what you're experiencing. And I say this, in talking about PTS, is everybody is facing their own battles. Like, from a biological standpoint, we're going through the same things. The same hormones are being released, the same things happening in our body. Maybe it was a different experience. But when I'm a civilian and I see my best friend crossing the road and get hit, I'm feeling the same things that when my buddy got shot.
Yeah.
From that biological standpoint here.
Well, the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
That's why babies cry when the weather changes a little bit. A little bit of wind blows on their face and they cry because it's the worst thing they've ever experienced. But 6 months down the line, they stop crying about the wind.
Have you ever, let me ask you this. Have you ever kind of, like my dad died 3 years ago. I've not cried one time about it. But there's so many experiences in my life that I can think of, and then sometimes I can't remember them. And I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I don't know what's the worst experience. But then I sometimes just like I sit and I think and I go, holy shit, I have so many good experiences that I think they're starting to outweigh, the things that I've experienced in life, whether it be overseas in Ramadi going through all the shit on the government center and then Captain Rapp and Thompson and Ryan and, just things that I've seen, our fucking interpreter being hung from a bridge, I look at all those things and now I'm kind of like just a hardened shell where I'm like, it's life. And the things that are affecting me now are like the littlest things, like my little boy learning how to walk and falling and hitting his face. And that affects me more than anything now. And I'm like, have you guys ever, you look back at your past and those things, they hardened you up. Maybe they affect you, maybe they don't, but do you find yourself sometimes, reflecting on them and just like, hey, I let it go, man. Like I find the better version of myself in life now. And there's moments that I connect to way more now that are so much better than like relying on those things to tell a story.
Alan Watts has a great example for this. Alan Watts, philosopher from the mid-1900s, talks about Eastern, Western religions, kind of the combination of the both. And he's got some beautiful insights, but specifically on what you're talking about here. So the importance of negative experiences and positive experiences, right? He talks about it like a magnet. So in a magnet, you have dipoles, right? At the 50% mark, above that is the North Pole, and 50% mark below that's the South Pole of a magnet. If you talk about positive and negative experiences, right? Positive being that top half, negative being the lower half. Well, if you start shaving off the negative experiences, right? That bottom pole, all you're doing is shifting that midline mark up. So it's eating into your positive experiences now. It's important to have a balance of both positive and negative experiences to have a well-rounded magnet in that example, right? Well-rounded life. You need positive, negative experiences so you can contrast the two. How do you know what's a positive experience if you haven't had a negative one, right? And that's we talk about this a lot. Like most people in life, if life's between 0 and 10, most people in modern Western society live between like a 4 and a 6. Like their worst day is like a general part of life. Like you mentioned, your dad passing. Not to detract from that. That's a very big moment. But again, that's not a traumatic thing at the end of the day. That's part of life.
Yeah. We need to challenge the baseline.
Yeah. Well, you just need to have a larger range.
Elaborate on challenge the baseline.
You need to have worse experiences and better positive experiences. And it starts with risk. Like it starts with trying.
Let me elaborate on that.
Very good.
The baseline. So like Christian said, if your worst day is crossing the road and almost getting run over, guess how much stress you're going to have in your life.
Yeah.
But if my worst day is getting shot at, getting blown up, and all that stuff, how do you think my experiences, my biochemical response is going to be if I am walking side by side with that same individual crossing the road and I almost get hit by a car? Do you think that I'm going to have the same reaction? Is my interpretation of that experience going to be the same? That's what I mean, is challenge the baseline. So in a positive and negative atmosphere, we need to create opportunities that challenge ourselves, challenge that baseline, so that when we approach something difficult, we have the tenacity to accomplish.
Bro, I really needed to hear that.
Yeah.
You literally just like tapped into my soul a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not been explained to me the way that you two have kind of, I've been through counseling for years. So I think it's important to, talk to somebody that doesn't understand you the way that most of your friends do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that was literally like something that I deeply needed to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I struggle more right now. I don't struggle with anything like overseas. I don't. I mean, I got a little emotional earlier, but I'm just thinking about like the process of everything and how they sacrificed for us, right? That's important to me. I didn't have to sacrifice like that, although it could have happened to me. So I honor them by shedding some tears and loving.
Yeah.
But like I struggle, I went to counseling last week. My wife's like, you need to find your little avenue again. So I said, okay, I'm going to go. And I just talked about this earlier, how when I was 16, I almost became a murderer. And I said, that's all I want to talk about right now, because I don't feel like I've ever kind of like let that moment go in my life. And so it's been kind of hard for me to find like a baseline, because I feel still to this day at times, it sounds crazy, I'm not even trying to get completely off topic, but sometimes I feel like I get challenged in life, like road rage, for example. Somebody fucking flipped me off the other day and they're like bumping up against my car. And I just opened the door and I stood out and I was like, look, I drive a Subaru Crosstrek, and you probably thought it was a fat fucking lesbian in here, but I'll beat the fuck out of you. And they were like, oh man, like I'm just trying to get you to go. And I said, the light's red and there's cars coming. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, my ego, I'm like, bro, I don't like it when men fucking challenge me, because I'm like, yo, let's do it then. Let's fucking go.
So that you're tapping into another topic altogether as well. And we could pull that back from your childhood trauma.
Yeah. And that's why I started going to a counselor, because I never, I've kind of like, I've created like this hard shell of like, it doesn't bother me. When in reality, I think the things that I do at times are like a subsidy, might be the word, of what happened to me. And the crazy thing is I never in moments like that think about like overseas, or why did I train jujitsu, or why did I wrestle when I was younger, or whatever. It wasn't because I wanted to do those things, because I didn't want anybody fucking with me. And so I'm like, it's weird, man, because you have this external validation that you seek when you've been through trauma, and that might be in a team. Or you're a Ranger, maybe you're a SEAL, maybe you're a Raider Marine, or you're a Delta Force Scout, whatever it may be. Or you just are in a fucking platoon that just loves you and like you're the man now, and you get the validation. Or social media is your validation, or whatever it is. Sometimes I'm throwing myself under the bus. My validation is feeling like I will really fuck you up, And I've gotten to that weird point.
You know what what we could say though to that though?
What
is?
Don't teach me right now.
I'm not teaching you. Is that you want to be valid? You want to still be in the fight? You certainly want to be in the fight.
I do, because I feel like when the worst shit happens. That's why I think I was a really good cop, because when the worst shit happened, it was like, this is so easy. One of my partners looked at me one time. He had been on the streets for about 9 years. And we had gotten in. We got a call one day. Guy just put a gun in the guy's mouth at a bar. He's outside with that gun active right now.
Jesus.
I'm the only one that's close. Bro, I walked through the whole fucking thing. I knew where he was at. I walked through the whole thing before I even got there. I pulled up. I said, where's he at? Just calmly. You can see it on the cam. I'm like, where's he at? And he's like, he's right there. I jumped out and I'm like, sheriff's officer, you put the gun down. I'm going to fucking kill you right now. And he had 3 buddies. One of them jumps in the passenger seat. They both got on the ground. One guy throws the gun and I'm like at it, right? I got cold chills telling you this. He's like, throws the gun. I cuff them both. Other dude bolts. I'm chasing him down. I end up double legging him. I snap his fucking ankle and I drag him. You could see me, man. You see on the cam, I'm dragging him all the way across the parking lot. I cuff him and I got him all 3. And my partner pulls up and he's like, We just maybe need a little bit more backup. And I'm like, oh, these are all 3 of them right here. And he literally says to me, and he goes, bro, what the fuck? He's like, every scene that I go to with you, I know everything's going to be okay. He's like, I feel protected. And I'm like, hey, man, my job is just to show the fuck up when it's time to dance. Yeah. And I'm like, it felt good because this dude was like, he was a heavy hitter, man. He was a heavy hitter. He'd never been in the military, but he was a SWAT guy on another department. He was in incredible shape. And I just thought, damn, when the shit hits the fan, our type of people are at our absolute best.
Yeah. Well,
and sometimes it sucks because it's hard to find people like that unless you kind of experience some of the same shit with each other. Or, there's the opposite side of that of like people who absolutely crumble under pressure.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Christian and I talk all the time. And one of the subjects I talked about and said it yesterday too is I was like, like a military guy who goes into MMA training, there's a difference, right? The gladiators, when the combat veteran used to go into the ring with the training ring, right? In every movie you've ever seen, he would just missile kick the shit out of the new guys, right? And it's because there is a ferocity that is instilled in you so dramatically into the military. Yeah. When you're looking at me and you, it's like one of us is walking out of here alive, only one. Can you imagine if you bring that to the fight every time?
Every time.
Right? Ramp goes, like as a Ranger, I use this as an example. As a Ranger, they have trained you so that when that ramp goes down and you land on that X, no matter what's at that door, you are going at it 100% and then some. You imagine you take that to the fight. You can't instill that in a training environment.
No.
You have to be threatened.
Yeah.
You have to challenge your baseline.
For sure.
Right? And there's a quote that I'm probably going to butcher, but a seasoned sailor never sailed on stormy seas. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. It was smooth seas never made a
seasoned sailor. Something like that. Anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What makes the best pilots in the world? You hear about some of these horrendous accidents that happens with commercial airlines and the pilots who have the experience to recover that airplane are the people in military service, right? Because you're fucking flipping jets for your whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's accurate.
So challenge the baseline, is at the end of the day. But you still crave that. Like we all do at the end of the day. And it's and that ego is what brings it up. It's like, you dare challenge me?
Yeah.
You see what happens, little boy.
I'm trying to get rid of that. And my wife is she's like, yo, just fucking drive us home right now. You don't need to be mad about somebody honking. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
So
totally.
let me ask you this, though.
But I am.
Yeah, in that like the road rage experience too, is we have a tendency to externalize other people that we don't know, right? How often do you say, fuck that guy who just cut me off? And you drive by, it's a little old lady. And you're like, oh shit, sorry.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You've externalized that person.
Yeah.
It's called explicit versus implicit. Whereas if you knew that your friend was in front of you, he cut you off, you'd be like, haha, he's just fucking around. Yeah. Or like, look at this idiot. Haha. Doesn't hit your baseline.
Yeah.
When you don't know that person, you're like, this guy is out to get me.
Yeah.
This guy is challenging me as a person.
Yeah.
So like learning that as well is like, maybe this guy is on the way to his hospital. He's got he's got a baby in the back of the car that's going to be popped out.
Most likely he's just an asshole.
Most likely. But guess what? It might be the worst day of his life. It might be the worst day of his life. And he's not specifically taking out on you, but he probably didn't even see you.
Yeah.
So like shit like that is just having a filter in place too, so that your, emotional baseline isn't affected. And I think that's the first step.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that.
That's good insight.
And you know what the crazy thing is like, if that's the worst part of your day, then you're doing really fucking well.
Yeah. And listen, I'm not going to be I'm not a guru. Like if you cut me off, I'm like, fuck this guy. At the end of the day, but it is a challenge. It is something that I try to do every time is I try to take a step back and say, don't let it.
You know what's funny, man? I rode with one of my friends a while back and he scared me. He's like, this and he's honking and he's speeding up. And I go, bro, we just need to get there. Like, chill out, dude. Like, they didn't cut you off, man. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like actually like trying to calm my friend down. And then somebody just like holds their horn down at me and my wife's in the car. And I'm like, what the fuck? You must think I'm I'm driving a Subaru, blah, blah, blah. She's like, babe, we need to go home and you need to go to counseling. It's like, oh man. I'm like, dude, holy shit.
Fine.
And you're slightly embarrassed. You're like, God damn it. Like, it got to me.
Yeah, you're
No,
fine.
it is, man. It is actually a little bit embarrassing. And when I'm like, I'm talking to my counselor about it, and she's just like, so that's it? And I'm like, yeah, it's just stupid. And she's like, well, I mean, I'm not going to say stupid, but we'll work through it. And I'm just like, she's calling me fucking stupid inside. Yeah.
You're agreeing.
I'm like, yeah, she's agreeing completely. Yeah.
Man,
Dude.
that's so what are you doing nowadays?
That's funny.
Oh, man. I am just, honestly, I'm living in the shadows, and I'm helping my wife with her. She wants to finish school for her training and stuff. She was a nurse prior. She wants to do like personal training and own a gym.
Nice.
So
Hell yeah.
I just want to focus on that with her. I'm spending every waking moment that I can with my 1-year-old. I have an 18-year-old about to go to college. Some people might remember my kid back in my social media days, called him Shark Bait. He's fucking huge now.
Yeah.
He's about to go to Texas Tech.
That's awesome.
And then, I've been filming, and I've been shooting photography for 20 years, but I've been filming too. So I'm just like, we travel every now and then. I shoot video, I do photo, I make little like documentaries for my friends and a couple companies when I want to do something different. And I hang out, man. I train every day. I have a little schedule and focusing on like some holistic stuff. I'm like experimenting with life.
Good.
But the most important thing to me, man, is like being home every night, sitting on the couch with my wife. We drink a little wine. We read, and sometimes we'll watch her 90 Day Fiance stuff. If you haven't watched that, it's a little addicting, but because it's trash TV, dude. But other than that, man, nothing really. I'm just like loving where I'm at in like the baseline and how peaceful my life is. There's no chaos right now, and I really find so much joy in that.
Yeah.
Just being a daddy again, and maybe we'll have another kid in the future. I don't know, but I'm not trying to like set these just crazy goals for myself. Yeah. I think right now it's just like wake up, accomplish what you need to accomplish in the mornings, and have a consistent baseline, and then everything else will just fall into play.
Peace otherwise.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Peace, but once again, is now that chaos doesn't inflict upon your life, because you've had some challenging moments and you've come out on top.
Man, I definitely have.
So if you, I think personally, if you didn't have these horrendous experiences in the past, you'd be able to appreciate that time with your wife, and your kid.
Yeah.
So it's a beauty that you're able to recognize that.
I really do,
see
man.
peace in it.
It's we've been together 6 years now, and it's probably, she is I'll say it a million times, she outside of my children are the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm still trying to figure out like faith and what I'm here for on the face of this earth.
Sure.
I don't know if I've found purpose, and maybe my purpose is just to be the best daddy and husband I can be. I think that's a great purpose.
Great purpose.
But I still, I still feel like I desire, I miss like, I miss feeling like the thrill of the hunt. But I know it's never coming back. So I just try to surround myself with people who are hungry and that are happy and that are awesome.
Yeah.
And then I try to give them everything that I can.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, man. Dad life, hubby life, making my own pizzas at night, shit like that. That's it, bro.
Sounds like a good life.
Yeah,
Man.
that's it. I'm happy.
Pursuit of peace. Yeah.
I'm
That
happy.
is great. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show and being raw and open and
man, for
opening up
sure.
to us. We that's our favorite part of this. And like I said, we've had an incredible journey with over the last 4 years with guests, and it's been our therapy.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, and it's helped me quite a bit, just hearing experiences. Some days I go into this show, in a funky mood or something like that, and I'll hear a story like that where I'm like, you know what? Shake it off.
Yeah. I'm being a real bitch right now.
Or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
So thanks for opening up, and I know these stories. This is the thing, is no one's talking like this right now. They're watching it because they're feeling it too. So watching stories like this, hopefully people internalize that and start making a difference for themselves, and put the phone up, put it down.
Yeah, man.
Take a break, enjoy the moments with your family, because they are fleeting. and they're not here forever, and they could just end abruptly.
You're right, 100%. I appreciate you guys asking me to be here.
I appreciate you.
I do enjoy just getting the banter and with bros, and you learn a little bit from every little experience.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I just want to leave like just this little piece of advice for anybody. We all search for life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness in separate ways. People think that having money or whatever is everything. I've had money, and it was the worst time of my life. The best times of my life are when I have minimal, my bills are paid, roofs over my head, food's in my mouth, and I'm healthy, and my wife and kids call my name and they love on me. Being a social media influencer means nothing if it disappears one day and you have nothing. So if you're that person, or you're trying to find like external value, just remember like the value comes from within. You can overcome anything as long as you put your mind to it. And it doesn't matter if you're a 16-year-old kid about to commit murder, or you're somebody just getting out of the military, or you've lost a leg overseas. You are somebody, and you're somebody special, and you can accomplish anything as long as you put your mind to it, and you learn to like let go of the past, and there's always a way forward. So don't search for money, search for value in life, and I think that you'll find it eventually, and you'll find the peace that you're searching for.
Very
Beautiful.
well said.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Thanks
Appreciate
for coming on,
you.
Mr.
Of
Tank.
course, man.
Always a pleasure. This has been the Medevac podcast, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned at the beginning, you got something out of this episode, I guarantee it. So go ahead and share it with some folks, interact with it somehow.
Share, spread, or put your phone up and don't share.
Yeah. Or take that advice and turn the shit off.
Yeah.
Either way,
off, guys.
we'll see you next week.
See you next time.
Bye. Oh, man. Nice, dude.